Welcome to today's webinar event. I hope everybody can hear me okay. My name is Joshua and I'm going to be your presenter today. It is promptly 1 p.m. Eastern time here. We're going to go ahead and get started. We're here to talk about our payroll end of year steps and our W2's. Before we get started on the topic, a few things. Click the little red arrow on the sidebar of your webinar control panel. It allows you to minimize the webinar, the control panel, get it out of the way so you can get the full visual effect of the presentation. If you have questions, please type those into the questions portion of the event for me. It is just me today. I will do my best to keep an eye on those questions, try to answer them if I can during the event, if it's timely and or if it's at the appropriate spot. If not, I will certainly be happy to repeat those questions and answer them for us at the end of the event. Please keep the questions on the topic at hand, meaning about our payroll end of year and W2's. We've got other events set up for, or have had other events on end of year procedure and other portions of the software. And again, so it's just, we're about payroll here today, nothing else. What I am using as the printed documentation for today's webinar event can be found at our website here under our support center, supporting, going down to New Year Prep and Help. And then when we scroll down the page here, it takes a second sometimes to load the page, a couple seconds. Right here, payroll end of year steps. Let me get out my highlighter right here, payroll end of year steps. That's the document that I'm using. We do have an earlier video of this same exact topic on our website further down the list here. This is from a much older version of payroll. I think it's from 2 or 3 years ago. We'll be replacing it with today's recording at some point here in the next few week or 10 days or so, okay? But just an FYI, that's what I'm using for today's event, okay? The document on the website is updated. It was updated last month, so the documentation, the printed pages are current, okay? So the first thing on that page, on that document, talks about installing the new payroll program. Notice here we don't have Payroll 2019 installed yet. We still have Payroll 2018 SR3. Our developers are hard at work getting the Payroll 2019 release ready. We will send that link out to you, as soon as it's ready, but it'll certainly should be to you and available between now and when you need to calculate your first pay for the new year, okay? But what we like to point out is that installing the new version is not the same as performing the end of year procedure. So you can install the Payroll 2019 when you receive it, but then you will need to perform the second set of steps to open and run the end of year procedure to open that new payroll year, okay? As the second sentence says, isn't that once an update, the update of the program needs to be installed as soon as it is received, but that is not the same thing, and you will not run the end of year procedure until you are finished with your tax tables for 2018. Okay, so basically part 2 on that talks about 2 things need to occur to perform the end of year procedure in payroll. 1, you need to install the Payroll 2019 program update on your computer when you receive it, okay? If payroll is networked, that will need to be installed on your main installation of payroll on your server and then installed on any of the subsequent workstations where payroll is run and used. The part 2 of that is, if you transfer payroll into accounting, the accounting 2019 accounting year must exist too in order for us to complete the payroll end of year procedure. Payroll and accounting are that closely intertwined and connected together that the payroll year in the accounting year in accounting has to match or has to be set up so payroll then can transfer into that year, into that accounting data. Okay. Once those 2 things are in place, okay, the Payroll 2019 version is installed and your accounting year is open for 2019, then the end of year payroll procedure can be run for payroll 2019, okay? Okay, I'm sorry, Lois, I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know why it would be cutting out on you. Maybe you've got some internet connection issues, maybe. I'm sorry, I'm not sure. Payroll, we will release the payroll 2019 as soon as humanly possible, but we can't release it before the actual government releases the 2019 tables, you know. Yeah, one, it includes the new 2019 tax tables for the new year. It also includes the 2018 tax forms, like your 2018 W2's, whether that's the real copy or the informative copy, okay? But yeah, that we're still working on that, so we're kind of in that gray space between, you know, when we've got the payroll 2009. If we had payroll 2019 available and ready, folks, I would have it here installed today. It is simply not. We don't have the information from the government yet that allows us to get that released. It'll be right around the end of the year that we'll send that to you, okay? But we'll do the best we can with what we have. As the reminder says at the bottom there, if you run the W2s before installing the update, they will still say 2019, okay? That's how important that update is. The very last part of that page on page 1 there stipulates that before April of each year, a payroll service released, Church Windows payroll service released, it will be issued that includes the W4 and the new 941 form for 2019. So when you install your payroll 2019 update, it will not include the new 941 for 2019. Because you still are filing, your folks are still filing their final, 941s for the new year. So we can't do that too soon. So I've been doing this for 16 years, folks, and we've released a payroll update at the end of March every single year that primarily updates the 941 to the New Year's 941 tax form, okay? So you'll get an email from us again at the end of March with a link to the payroll 2019, SR1, SR2, or whatever the service release is at that point that updates the 941, and then includes any other updates that are necessary, whether there are state tax table updates or, any other new updates that payroll needs to be included. We'll include an update that will release that as well, that will update those as well, okay? Top of page 2 on that talks about make a backup of your data. Okay, so you would go, to make a backup of your payroll data, you would go to System Administration, right here to backup data. You would, choose where you'd want to back it up, using the Browse button, click Start Backup. It takes, 3 seconds to back up your payroll data. It's a very small file, okay? That just ensures you have a restore point to go back to that if you didn't want to go back to have payroll year open, you could restore that payroll backup to get back to your starting point if you wish, okay? So to complete the end of year procedure when that time comes, okay, you would go to System Administration, and right down here at the very bottom we see the option that says End of Year Procedure, okay? Now again, can't stress this enough. Once Payroll 2019 is installed, you will only want to run that end of year procedure when you are finished with the 2018 tax tables. In other words, you'll be finished with calculating your final pay for 2018 that uses and requires those 2018 tax tables, okay? Because once you run that end of year procedure, the tax tables for 2018 are disabled and the 2019 tax tables are enabled. And so, you would not be able to go back, and if there have been changes to those federal tax tables or state for that matter that have been included in that update, those old tax tables are no longer available, and it'll only calculate them based on the New Year's tax tables, not the old ones, okay? So if we, just to kind of demonstrate how this works, is if we click on End of Year Procedure, it'll pop up with a warning. The end of year procedure should be run after you have updated your payroll software with the Payroll 2019 release and after you have run the last payroll for 2018 Otherwise, you may lose data. Would you like to continue? Okay, so I can click yes through this. Okay, all I have is the 2018 tax tables, so that's all it's going to populate or move into, into for setup for 2019. If I click yes on that, it'll give me another option to back out of that. That'll say running end of your procedure updates the payroll database from 18 to 19. It appears you have not installed the update release yet. Do you still want to continue? So it's giving me two opportunities to back out of this process. Okay, we're helping you as much as we can to make absolutely sure you're not making a mistake. Okay, but if I insist on clicking yes, it's going to pop up here. And it now then pops up and says the 2019 accounting year must exist in the CW accounting system and must have accounts assigned before payroll end of year procedure can be run. So even now, because my accounting year doesn't exist, it's not letting me open up the payroll 2019 accounting year. Okay? Again, they are so closely related that that year has to exist. I don't have to be in that year. I don't have to be posting and working in it. It just has to know that that 2019 accounting year exists, okay? All right? So if I did, I would want to go over to accounting and set that year up, and then I could click OK through this, and then it would set that up, but it would still say, even now, because it still doesn't detect that 2019 is installed, it would still say, okay, I've set up your 2018 tax tables as your tax tables for your 2019 year until you've installed that update. Okay, so you're going to get these types of messages again if you don't install the payroll 2019 update when you receive that. Again, folks, I'm just reiterating this because it's so important. You will not, even after you go ahead and install the update for payroll 2019 when you receive it, but do not run or complete the end of year procedure until you have finished with your final payroll for 2018, okay? Once that's done, you can safely run the end of year. You can still go back under system profile here, system administration, system profile, toggle back and forth between our accounting years, between our payroll years at need, at will. Of course, you need to be able to go back into 18 and run your 941 for the final, final 941 of the year. You need to run those tax forms, W2's, maybe even 1099s if you're paying contractors through payroll, and then change the year back to 2019 here using this when you're finished with that. But we will no longer want to have those tax tables, need those tax tables for 2018 before opening 19. Okay? All right. So moving on. Once the new year's open, at the bottom of page 2 there, we've got the Ssa Administration E-Filing. You can then go into electronic filing and choose the Ssa E-Filing. You do not need a PIN any longer to do this. Church Windows Payroll will create a text file that can be uploaded to the Social Security Administration directly. With a PIN. Yeah, you don't need a PIN to complete this. You'll need a PIN in order to be able to file with them, okay? Before you needed the PIN in order to complete the filing or to complete the creation of the file in Payroll, but that's no longer required. It just creates a text file that then is uploaded. You will need a PIN with the SSA to complete that there, okay? Yeah, the Pennsylvania EIT file for e-filing, we're not going to go into that today. That's specifically for state of Pennsylvania users. We're going to talk about our W-2s. So when we go back to reports and tax reports, we've got all of our tax reports. We've got our W-2 forms. When we choose that, it asks us who do we want to produce them for. Now, again, folks, keep in mind, I'm still in 2018, which is the year we want to produce them for. You can choose who you want to produce them for. So if you had some folks you didn't want to, you can, of course. But I would think anybody we paid, anyone that it has been paid in 18 is going to appear in this list, okay? If someone has a invalid Social Security number, the invalid SSN button will be lit up, okay? I'm being asked, are you able to file the 1099s with the Ssa electronically? Nancy, I don't think you can. I don't think that includes that. But I don't have a succinct answer on that. Please call support, and we'll see what we can do to get that answered completely for you. So once I've made my selection, if I'd had an invalid SSN, it will not allow me to process the invalid, a W-2 form for an employee whose social security number is incomplete, okay? But all of mine do. Then when we go to next, it asks us which copy are we filing for. Well, the file copy is just for an internal working copy for you if you want it. But when you're ready to actually either print those for your employees or, submit the government copy or what have you, would change it down to government copy. And here it presents us with the 4 different W-2 document styles that you can choose. Standard IRS is, of course, the form that you would need to obtain from the IRS to print. Those are generally the layered ones, if I recall correctly. Oftentimes, printers these days don't support those very well. The new, inkjet or laserjet or copier printers don't. 4 up would be the ones you can buy from your local office supply store that has the 4 per page, 1 employee per page. And again, when you choose that and click next, it just puts, one of the different forms in each one of the corners, and it's split down the middle here, and you're perforated and you distribute it and, and give it to your employees, what have you. Then when we go back, and this is the most common type, are our black and white format. This is the form that can be printed to plain paper, provided you have a laser printer or a copier printer. Each one of the copy types on the right-hand side must be printed separately. So here's our copy A for the SSA. We've got our federal copy. We've got the copy C for the employee. Copy D for the employer's copy, state and local, and then we've got our employee's copy for state and local as well, okay? But each one of those forms will need to be printed and collated separately. The copy C, of course, is the copy that is for the employee's records that does include the instructions as well, so you'll definitely want to make sure that you print those. But once you choose them, copy A, and let's say, and we go to next, it actually does print the appropriate form that you can then again print to plain paper. Again, this would be the copy the church submits with their filing, W-3 filing, to the Social Security Administration. Then we go back, we would choose copy B. This would be the file copy that we're sending to this, federal government. Do we want to include the employee's full Social Security number or partial? And then again, when you click next, you would see the actual presentable form. You would print that, what have you. Now again, keep in mind, it only shows 2017 because I don't have the update installed yet, okay? So this is fairly self-explanatory, but when you're done, you then simply click Finish. 1099s, folks, finally do require the forms still. They cannot. There is no black and white copy for that. If you have 1099s, typically those folks are paid through accounting. You can produce 1099s for your contractors through accounting. If they're paid there, if they're paid through payroll, you can, of course, go to reports, tax reports, and 1099 forms, but you still do need to obtain the forms for those, okay? All right, it's 20 after. I'm finished with what I'm just here to discuss. Let me see what questions we have. Since black and white is most common, it would be helpful if it was listed first instead of last. That's a great idea, Diane. Sure, send us an email with that to suggestions@churchwindows.com. We'll be happy to get that into suggestions for you. Black and white has confused me a little. I have an inkjet, so I print on the inkjet, then copy it on my Xerox copier. Well, Susan, you can print them to the plain paper on your laser printer. Just the government doesn't, the government system won't read an inkjet printer as it has occurred. So no, Susan, I'm answering your question. So no, you can print the black and white copy directly to your inkjet and distribute those. The government just system can't read an ink, or sorry, you have an inkjet. You don't have a laser jet. Yes, you can, I think you can do that. You might also be able to send them directly to your Xerox copier. If you go to the printer icon, it might allow you to choose the Xerox copier and send them there without having to reprint them again. When you go to the form, tax reports, W2 form, we choose government copy, choose black and white, go to next. When you go up to your printer up here and it opens this, you might be able to choose your copier printer from your printer's list here and send them directly there. Just a suggestion. All right, I don't see any other questions coming in. Again, folks, this event, we will have it released on our website here sometime within the next week or 10 days. If you have further questions about it, please give us a holler, 800-533-5227. Our technicians, myself included, are happy to help answer questions that you have. And again, please look for that payroll update to be sent via email to the church sometime here within, in the last week or 10 days of the year. Of 2018, you should certainly have that in time to get your first payroll calculated. All right. I hope it's been helpful. I'll go ahead and end the webinar for everyone, and we hope to see everybody at a future Church Windows webinar event. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.